Mark review. By the way, we got dark mode now. Woo! Spicy. Okay. Open up my shit on Twitch. Why you pissing? Because I drink water? I don't know. Okay. Alright, we're going to do a volume check. Alright, tell me if it's too loud.
This video is brought to you by
Is it too loud?
Hello everyone and welcome back to Mark.
It's too loud.
This video is brought to you by Manscaped.
Not loud
Hello
enough.
everyone and welcome back to Mark.
Okay. Turn it down slightly. It's not too loud. Okay. Let me turn it down on my headphones though. It's just so fucking blaring in my ear. Alright. Y'all ready?
This video is brought to you by Manscaped.
Is it too loud?
Hello everyone and welcome back to Mark pronounces Japanese names and words incorrectly, otherwise known as my blind review series. Last week I covered the reintroduction of the main characters after the time skip, the retrieval of Gaara, and their respective battles against the Akatsuki group, responsible for much of the conflict in the second half of the video. I've been covering Naruto for a couple months now, and with me now well into my
So this motherfucker
group responsible for much of the conflict in the second half of the video. I've been covering Naruto for a couple months now, and with me now well into my 37th volume of the story, I think this material I'm covering today might just be my favorite in quite a while. Exploring the sinister and surprising Tenchi Bridge mission, the new scope of Naruto's power, and a touching story with Shikamaru, the likes of which I never saw myself becoming so invested in. I'm honestly so excited to discuss with you all my thoughts on these two arcs, so let's dive into the tense Tenchi Bridge reconnaissance mission and the
Sasuke went so hard there.
Akatsuki suppression mission.
Does he just say Akatsuki for like fucking comments now? Or maybe like the comment at the beginning of the video was like post-editing?
I quickly want to let you know what I have planned for December. Initially, I had planned on taking this December off, but instead, how about this? Spider-Man No Way Home hits theaters this December 17th, and so I thought it might be fun if this December we go full spider themed.
Is it too loud? Now y'all are saying it's too loud?
In a challenge I am dubbing Spidey
Is it good now?
Within which I will attempt to review and break down some of the most iconic and
What do you mean,
heavily
dumbass?
criticized
People are
live-action
disagreeing
Spider-Man
with you.
films
It's
ever to
contentious.
be released. I'm talking Garfield. I'm talking Tobey Maguire. I'm talking Tom Under My Umbrella Ella Holland. I'll be making 3 videos, kicking things off this Spidey-cember with the Raimi trilogy on December 2nd, which I haven't seen since I
Y'all
was
shut
a
the
kid
fuck
in
up. I don't
theaters.
care anymore.
I can't wait to share with you all my feelings on these films that honestly changed my life, and I hope to see you there
gargle
for
on
this
my cock.
Spidey-cember.
その動力とは非常にまがまがしいチャクラ。
Chakura.
つての内浜だらと同じ。
Why? Sasuke has never drawn this good ever again. This was his peak.
Something I haven't complimented Naruto as much for in this series is its consistent sense of flow. In the past, I've criticized shows like Dragon Ball Super for feeling, broadly speaking, like a collection of short story arcs with clear-cut beginnings and endings, with little to no connective tissue between arcs themselves to help create a sense that there's this grand story or adventure. In the original Dragon Ball, so many of the arcs flowed naturally into each other, providing setups and payoffs for themselves. In other words, it successfully felt like a single massive story, and thankfully I can say—
Look, as someone who just wrote like a 12,000 word essay and had to record an hour-and-a-half video on OG Dragon Ball, the Fortune Baba arc is almost unnecessary. I don't think it was that, I don't think it's that good. I don't think it was like perfectly flowed really at all. I don't think you might have been able just to skip it. It was almost like the Fortune Baba arc was almost like a weird, like, pseudo filler. It's like a weird, almost filler arc. So I don't know about that, but Yeah, it's alright.
Say the same is true for Naruto. Something happens in one arc, and so
That's good
therefore
moments, though.
those
That's good
actions
moments,
or
bro.
outcomes necessarily impact the coming narrative.
Oh, by the way, I ordered a new microphone, so for those of you who are really annoyed with getting ear raped by static randomly, like once every like 5 minutes, it's on the way, alright? You just gotta bear with it.
The Chunin exams led to the ambush, which led to the third Hokage's death, which led to the search for Tsunade, etc., etc. Everything in this universe feels connected, which in turn, for me at least, helps me to feel that much more invested in each and every narrative choice that's made, because I know that each and every narrative choice is likely to directly impact the future.
誰だって聞いてんだ
There were a few things that stuck with me after the conclusion to last week's material.
There wasn't really
Firstly,
much
it was
of a
the
payoff
amicable
with
nature
Sai,
Gaara
though.
embraced
Not gonna lie.
Naruto with, highlighting that these two are the only two people in their respective circles that truly understand each other, and due to that fact, the lengths Naruto went to for Gaara really helped to highlight how far he has come socially. Now
my
surrounded by
God.
the family he always wanted and has now acquired, despite the losses that took place to make all of this possible, representing a dated way of thinking now passing on. There was Kakashi's ability to use the variation on the Mangekyo Sharingan, which on its own is awesome, but speaks to a sadness for his past where he lost a friend in Obito. In a nutshell, my reaction to it was, oh my god, this is so... Oh, no, it's really sad, isn't it? And finally, the introduction of a new character called Sai. My first impression of Sai was that he was creepy and underhanded. And while all of my assessment was technically correct, what he offers to this story is so much more than that simple first impression. From a consistency perspective, he slots into the story rather seamlessly. Despite him being a relative unknown before this introduction, with him coming from the Black Ops Foundation, he seems like a natural addition to the team of Sakura and Naruto, seeing as they at this point were missing Kakashi and Sasuke in their cell. However, despite Sai joining the team, Naruto and Sakura still needed a leader to help them follow through on this lead provided by...
So, okay. Does he do it purposely? I don't know. So, like, I think he does it purposely if the beginning introduction part is pre-recording. Okay? If it's pre-recording, then he high-key might be doing it on purpose. High-key. Like, maybe. Because maybe he needs some more, like, interactions in the comments. Like, maybe he thinks, like, people commenting the corrections in the names gets him more traction or something. I don't know. But, like, maybe, like, Mark just needs, like, a basic hiragana lesson or something. Like, because it's just... It's not just, like, one or... He pronounces literally everything wrong. Like, I don't know, has he pronounced, like, the only things he's pronounced right are, like, sigh or something. Like, it's weird. So I think it's because he thinks that because he kind of exaggerates the wrong syllables of the names. He kind of exaggerates, like, the second syllable rather than the first syllable of the name. And he has, like, a pattern of it. And I think even if he just exaggerated only the first syllable, it would just be a lot better. You know what I mean? Dude, if he says Madeira, I don't give a fuck about the Mark. If he says fucking Madeira, I don't care about the Mark fanboys. I'm coming for his neck. If this motherfucker says Madeira. I don't know. I don't think it is the accent at this point, because it's more just like, because accents, they kind of let you, like, slur certain things, or, you know, you change kind of the tonality, but after a while you kind of learn how the name is supposed to be said, even if you have an accent. Like, every accent still follows a certain, like, name. Like, every accent tends to say, like, Goku the same, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's not, like, an accent that says Gokyu, you know? There's not, like, where's the Gokyu, you know? Or, whatever. Or Gakyu. There's not much, accents like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Sasori in the previous arc. The lead informed them of a scheduled meeting he had organized with a mole he had in the ranks of Orochimaru, which
He said that fine, kind of. He said Orochimaru, kind of okay. Orochimaru. Kind of exaggerated the U, but I mean, he said Orochimaru, right? So I don't know what's the problem with the other ones.
happens to be exactly where Naruto wants to be. Due to the importance of this mission, Lady Tsunade employs the help of Yamato, a level-headed and grounded older ninja descended from the first Hokage.
Maybe it's
This
just,
guy
I don't
didn't
know,
make
maybe
a
that was,
massive
that
impression
Yamato
on
sounded
me,
like an
but he does
accent
offer a
thing.
useful mechanism that does come into play later, and overall seems like a swell and balanced fellow. By and large, he doesn't offer a massive amount emotionally to the story, but in terms of facilitating the plot, no other character helps in that respect more.
Like, I knew a Canadian guy who used to say Yamcha's name was Yamcha. You know what I mean? Called him Yamcha.
Once again, broadly speaking, I think Sai is an interesting character for two reasons. I mentioned that within this story it made sense for him to join their ranks to help out, however, it's what this fellow represents for the series that I think offers his true strengths within this narrative. Firstly, he seems to be the embodiment of what shinobi are in this world. Raised by the Black Ops forces, he doesn't possess any emotion or even understanding of how other people react or think. He's an extreme manifestation of the tool for destruction and espionage that have been espoused by the higher-ups of this world, even by the third Hokage himself at one point. That's one reason why he's interesting. The second reason is how he complements and contrasts Naruto. I've spoken about the importance of creating a contrast character for Naruto, the main character, to amplify his own personality. Sasuke was that for Naruto first, and at various points in the narrative, that role has shifted to different individuals. In this instance, Sai fulfills that role. So many of his values run counter to Naruto's, and just like clockwork, he brings out the best in our titular ninja. What's also interesting with this character is the effect he has on both Naruto and Sakura. By bluntly and coldly addressing the actions of Sasuke, he puts pressure on both of them to justify Sasuke's behavior, leading to a variety of refusals from Naruto to work with him in the first place, and many, many outbursts. The best of which was this.
その仲間を救うためならお前とだって組んでやる
This is what I mean when I say Sai brings
That was
out
hard.
the best in Naruto. What was once rage and childish retaliation has been replaced with a calm, unflinching resolve when he starts to realize that these words from Sai don't necessarily come from a place of intentional antagonism, but instead from a genuine and troubling bewilderment that's only interested in looking at the situation from a cold,
Like, is genuine an accent thing? I don't know.
utilitarian standpoint.
So, this is just my opinion. This is my opinion on This is my opinion on Sai. I don't really care about the whole tool thing because we already kind of got that in Land of Waves. But it's interesting to see like the Leaf also has, you know, the child tools as well. So I think it might be to show that the Leaf Village also partakes in that. However, I don't know. Like, I think a few other characters already established that, no? Like, I think Kakashi even kind of did at one point. But I guess Kakashi's more, Kakashi doesn't really embody it as hard as Danzo and Sai. So I guess Sai and Danzo are more to show that the Leaf is also plagued by that ideology more, because Kakashi doesn't really, like, show it too much. But otherwise, like, it sucks what happens to Sai, man. Like, I don't know why he became so fucking irrelevant. And I think his lack of popularity might be due to his design, too. His design's a little bit weird. Like, he's supposed to be this, like, almost borderline emotionless, just, like, robotic ninja, yet he's wearing this, like, belly top, black shirt and shit. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Like, I don't think his design matches what he's supposed to be. I think he's supposed to be, like, a stoic and just hardcore ninja, so maybe that's why he's not that popular, but, yeah.
Tenchi Bridge. This section had me stressed the hell out, and I truly mean
This
that.
scene is so
Apart from the
raw,
planet
dude. I
as
love
it
this shit.
currently is being extremely shaky no matter what way you look at it, trying to impersonate Sasori. We also have the wild card in Sai, and we learn that the informant is Kabuto. Add on top of that the fact that Kabuto is actually a triple agent there to betray and kill Sasori.
It's like he's saying, it's like the Pokemon. It's like Kabutops. Like Kabutops. You know what I mean? Kabutops. Maybe it's because what if it's because he's a Pokemon fan? What if it's because he's a Pokemon fan? And that's why he says it like that. Maybe. We might be onto him. We're diving deep. We're getting deep.
And you have for yourself a page-turner unlike any I've seen
might have
from
cracked
the
the
series
code.
in a long while. Also, there's this instance in this arc where Lady Tsunade is looking out and notices an animal jumping out from the brush. And once again, this happens here at the bridge. I thought this was interesting as it turns out it's actually Orochimaru lying in wait, which made me think, was he at the village too? I mean, I love stuff like that.
I feel like
even if it
Orochimaru and
wasn't,
Tsunade
it's
is
still
way
a cool
harder to
piece
say
of
than
paranoia
Kabuto,
Kishimoto's
but I
injected
don't know.
into my mind, which is great because now we're primed for a spectacular fight.
Like, look at Sai's outfit. Like, what is Sai's outfit, bro? If Sai is supposed to be, like, the opposite, or, like, a fold to Naruto, why is he wearing a fucking crop top? What? Like, what is that design? Like, Kishimoto was not, like, the black makes sense, right? He's wearing black because he's not colorful like, you know, the other characters. He's like a robot, right? He's just there to do business, but then he's got this little bit of crop top for some reason.
And
Like,
this fight is
he even has short sleeves as well. Whereas, like, whenever you see, like, most of the Anbu, like, they're usually just all gutted out, and they got their fucking black, you know, nylon fucking rash guard or some shit going on. I don't know. It's,
all of that and a bag of chips. Something this arc does a phenomenal job with is making the fight feel personal. As soon as Yamato sees Orochimaru and everything on the bridge starts turning south, he signals for the others. This was a brilliant touch to add drama to this story with a great piece of visual storytelling through Naruto immediately showing signs of losing himself to that more aggressive and feral fox spirit state he's been in before. This is an incredibly important and emotional battle for Naruto, and to see this reinforced by his immediate elevation into this state without warning was brilliant. However, what made me fall in love with this section wasn't necessarily the cool visuals, but the meaning and narrative behind them and the consequences thereafter.
bro, remember how, like, Kabuto used to be, like, Kakashi level?
This section wasn't necessarily the
He just gets fucking
cool
yelled at.
visuals, but
Naruto, like, one-shots him with a fucking yell. And he was, like, Kakashi level.
and narrative behind them and the consequences
Shit was raw.
thereafter. There's a heavy amount of emphasis placed on Jiraiya's
That's the
words
dude that
as he
was fighting
explains to
Tsunade,
Yamato
bro.
what he went through while training Naruto over the last number of years, informing him not to allow too many tales to reveal themselves as Naruto needs more and more power, with them effectively acting as a mechanism to display how far gone Naruto has lost himself to the fox spirit itself. As I said, it all looks very impressive. However, as Naruto powers up to attack Orochimaru and Kabuto, this happens. There's an obvious lesson to learn here for Naruto, but remember what I said.
Bruh. How are y'all downplaying my boy in QB
So,
Naruto?
as I said, it all looks very
This
impressive.
motherfucker,
However, as
QB
Naruto
Naruto,
powers
with one tail,
attack
yells at
Orochimaru and
Kabuto,
Kabuto.
who's Kakashi level,
up, this happens.
knocks his ass out, and then takes out Sakura on accident with his flying body. Even though Sakura was, like, avoiding attacks from, like, Sasori and all kinds of crazy shit.
There's an obvious lesson
Just
to learn
knocked
here
her ass
for
out like
Naruto,
that.
But remember what I said about this
God
being
damn,
a long-term
Naruto was
personal
hard.
fight for more than one person? Well, while I saw and enjoyed what Naruto offered in this situation, I was completely taken aback by how Sakura reacted to being hurt in the process of this power-up. When she wakes, she
laid her ass
doesn't
out.
feel hurt or emotionally shocked by Naruto's attack. Instead, her reaction is perfectly in keeping with her own existing motivations. She sees this as a direct result of not Naruto being selfish or losing control unnecessarily, but instead her own prior weaknesses. She couldn't bring Sasuke back, and as a result, Naruto made a promise to bring Sasuke back no matter what.
The
And
Naruto
as it
depression
happens,
arc, yes,
no matter
let's
what, in this
go.
instance means
The arc no one
this.
knows
It's
about for
extreme,
some
to say the
reason.
least. He's on the brink, and he may even lose
The
his
plague of
life.
gripes,
This sort of
curse.
clear-headedness and honest accountability
His name
on
is
behalf
very
of Sakura
fitting. The
is
plague
not
of
only
gripes.
refreshing to hear, but incredibly brave and noble too. After seeing this
Where's my
reaction from
hard
Sakura,
work,
it
man?
honestly felt like she had grown the most during the time skip. It's a remarkable difference. On the Naruto front, the finesse, humanity, and technique of him is completely
Like,
gone.
Who in Naruto just hits the ground and does that
There
shit?
are no familiar
He just punched the
techniques on
ground.
display like the shadow clones.
Like
which is
who,
a great
man?
touch, I think, to make this form feel like an embodiment of something Naruto isn't. And when you combine that with the fact that he's up against Orochimaru, it's in every sense of the word no longer a
Why you
battle
say it
between
weird
ninja,
there? He's been saying it
but
right the whole
monsters
time.
at this point. Sakura does try to help and bring Naruto back from the brink once again.
He just
but
knocked
gets
Sakura's ass out again. You're telling me this bitch fought Sasori, bro?
Yes.
Look what
Alright,
Naruto
so
keeps doing to
this
her.
was visually awesome and super fun to
God
read through.
damn!
It's immensely cathartic watching Orochimaru on the back foot during this encounter. We haven't seen him fight all out in a while, and this fox spirit really seems to be pushing him back at every turn. Again, the layout and page spreads are fitting for the occasion, but if I'm being
Damn!
honest, the best stuff comes after the smoke clears, and Yamato, using his special abilities, is able to seal away that spirit and bring Naruto back from that breaking point. This is where Yamato proves himself as a worthy leader and noble ninja, in my opinion. His confrontation with Naruto concerning the responsibility he has to do his best without the help of the fox spirit is exactly what I was getting at last week. This spirit provides a welcome shortcut and might even feel empowering. Naruto very clearly wants something, and at this point this seems like the easiest route to meet that goal. However, there are clear and easily identifiable drawbacks to this line of action, and this is a common angle in coming of age stories. Take Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 for example. It's not everyone's favorite film, but it tries to tell this exact story. The Venom symbiote, while offering some more power and freedom, comes at the cost of what makes Peter Parker himself, leading to him hurting those around him. The exact same thing happens to Naruto in this instance, capping off the confrontation with a quote so perfect from Yamato, I'd put it up there as one of my favorite quotes from this entire series. The source of your strength, Naruto, isn't the foxtail spirit, it's your own. If you want to help Sasuke, do it using your own power. If you want to protect Sakura, do it using your own strength. Brilliant. This portion of the story is where Yamato's upsides really shine for me as a new addition to the main squad. On top of being a noble, level-headed leader type, he's also skilled in a wide and rare variety of jutsu. One that comes in massively handy when Sai, who had been missing during the encounter with Orochimaru, attempts to join forces with him and leaves promptly along with Kabuto and himself. Thankfully, however, Yamato has a tracker on him, and little does Sai know that he's about to lead him to where Orochimaru's hiding with Sasuke.
So, with the Naruto power up, do you guys think it could also be like a parallel to what Sasuke does, like where he's like willing to like turn into this monster and like let these powers take over his body so that he can achieve his ambition? Like it seems kind of like a parallel to Sasuke in a way. So it almost feels like Naruto's kind of like doing what Sasuke does as well. And in the process of doing that, he hurts all his friends, and he learns why it's wrong, and blah, blah, blah. So it kind of does seem like a parallel to what Sasuke is doing in particular, and I think that's kind of interesting.
This is a fantastic chance for them to save him, and a chance for Naruto to show that he can control his desire to relinquish control to the spirit inside of him.
てめえはなんで俺たちを裏切った
Also, Yamato just eats Sai up, bro. Like, Yamato is way better done than Sai. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what he was fucking thinking. Like, you're gonna create a character. You're gonna create a character that replaces Sasuke Uchiha. And you make Sai. You know what I mean? Like I get, Yamato is supposed to be... Yamato was like a temporary replacement for Kakashi, like a temporary one. So it was like, okay. But Sai was supposed to be like the permanent new Team 7 member. And this is what they can... You know, maybe this is why bullying is okay, because when Kishimoto was first writing Naruto, he used to get the shit bullied out of him by his editor. His editor's like, bro, this story sucks cock. Can you make like a rival for Naruto or something? Like, bro, where was this editor? Why didn't this editor bully him? You know what happens when Kishimoto doesn't get bullied? He makes Samurai 8, bro. He makes Samurai 8 when he doesn't get bullied. Why didn't you bully him about Sai? Like, where was it, man?
Oh my god!
Why didn't you bully him?
Once they confront Sai in his cell, the true scope of what he represents in this series is plain as day. While yes, he represents broadly speaking what ninjas mean in this world, specific to him, he also has a sketchbook which reveals a lot more about him and the process he was created within in the first place. Once upon a time, having a brother, someone who cherished him, who cared for him, and someone who held onto a specific sketchbook for. However, when he died, Sai lost any and all memory of what he was going to put into that
Like,
book
okay,
for his
so
brother.
I'll say this in advance too. This Sai backstory shit is okay. Like, I don't mind the Sai backstory shit. Like,
This
why isn't Sai wearing this shit here? Look at that outfit. Right there. Wear that shit. And why is his ability this weird ink shit that doesn't do anything? He's just like shit. He just gets pooped on by everyone.
book itself,
Even in like his one hard moment in the war, he kind of like he just kind of gets shit on a little bit.
In conversations, he refers to himself as no one, nobody. A clean slate that can act as an extension of Danzo's will. A product of the Foundation's.
That's a good panel. I love this panel right here. If only it wasn't for the crop top. Imagine, dude, imagine if he just wasn't wearing a crop top. Like, he would go hard. Like, if he just wasn't wearing the crop top, he would go, this picture would go hard. Like,
to expunge him of all that made him
literally
who he was in the first place. Or at least that seems to be the case until recently. For when he realizes he's lost that sketchbook, he shows visible concern, proving to us, the readers and viewers, that while his humanity might not be visible on the surface, deep down, tied
he's
to
the
what
top
that book
root member,
represents
yeah.
are the remnants of who he really is as a person. There's a confrontation between Naruto and Sai where Naruto tries to explain to him his reasoning as to why he's so determined to save Sasuke from those circumstances despite his desire to stay and have nothing more to do with him. And in it, I think there's a connection being made between Naruto meaning nothing to Sasuke and Sai referring to himself as no one. Despite Sasuke actively seeing Naruto as, quote, nothing, just because someone says something isn't so doesn't remove the bond that exists between two people that genuinely cared for each other. This speaks to Sai's relationship with his brother. When faced with Sai further questioning why Naruto insists on trying to save someone in Sasuke, instead of getting angry, Naruto compassionately and calmly explains his relationship with Sasuke and his determination in the face of impossible odds to never stop fighting for him. And in a way, it's as if he's directly speaking to Sai himself. And while a very solemn scene, I think it's really effective. And at this moment, Naruto feels like he's reached an understanding with Sai.
it might be
perhaps for the
fan
first
service,
time
I don't
since he's
know.
met
But
him, leading
like
to
I said,
him
I
for
just don't think the
first time
design fits his
actually
character.
trusting him to
That's
carry
all.
out an important job, to locate Sasuke in
Like,
this
maybe
hideout.
after
And
he
it's
opened
here
up
that
with
Kishimoto
Naruto, it'd make
decides
more
to once
sense,
again
but
place
at first
some
it shouldn't be that.
paranoia and doubt in our
Dude,
minds as
Sasuke was so hard, man. Like in part one of what is this early Shippuden? Just fucking every fucking shot, he's just going hard. Like he's just dropping these rap albums like every fucking scene he's in, bro.
as he reveals Sai's
Like,
original plan wasn't to help their team or to even be a conduit between Danzo and Orochimaru, but instead to specifically assassinate Sasuke. Whether or not the experiences and epiphanies he's had since meeting Naruto will be enough to dissuade this mission is another question, but either way, with good intentions or not, he's running to Sasuke's location. It's super exciting as the decision Sai makes once he reaches Sasuke will effectively define his true intentions and really his character. I love stuff like this. It makes me rethink the entire interaction he had with Naruto, asking questions like, did he master emotional deception like what Sakura did to him earlier in the story? And even if he hasn't, the very fact that Kishimoto got me thinking and asking these questions is proof that he absolutely nailed this tension building sequence. Thankfully though, as it
That's a good
happens,
drawing.
Sai turns out to be a good boy.
あんた本当は何が狙いなの？私たちを何回裏切れば気が済むの？
The reunion between Sasuke and the others feels monumental. It very much feels like the culmination of everything that's been built up to so far. And Kishimoto goes all out in dedicating as much real estate as possible within the chapter this scene takes place in for massive page spreads to fully capture the emotion of that moment. From the first time seeing each other in years to close-ups of their respective reactions to seeing each other. There are so many full page spreads that at points it almost looks like a coloring book. And I mean that in the best possible way. They look very impressive with the expressions, positioning and staging of characters offering plenty in the way of tone setting. Furthermore,
yeah, it's really good. Like Sasuke standing above all of them to show his power dynamic with them, and stuff like that. It's pretty good.
This sequence deals with some of my favorite subject matter and comes packed with some wonderful imagery to convey what's happening to boot. When battling with Sasuke, we get to see a host of new abilities he's clearly been working on still with the single-minded purpose of finding and killing his brother. To him now, he claims that nothing else matters to him except his brother's death, even if it means merging with Orochimaru.
Remember when
This,
Sasuke
I
could
don't
just
think
solo
I
Team
believe,
7?
though. It's almost as if he wants to convince himself that,
That's crazy
and
shit.
I say that because of what happens later on. My favorite part of this encounter has to be the struggle Naruto is undergoing. And not just with Sasuke, but himself. A struggle to resist the allure of tapping into the Fox Spirit's power and to increase his chances of forcibly taking Sasuke back home. It's a wonderful example of Naruto putting others first and showing belief in himself to do what needs to be done with his own power and strength. However, there is something that makes this scene a little more freaky. While Naruto is trying to center himself in his mind and subdue the Fox Spirit, Sasuke is there in his mind with himself and the Fox. It's a first in the series, and in being such, it really gives Sasuke an air of superiority and control, the likes of which we've not seen so far. However, once again, while Sasuke says that nothing else matters to him other than his brother's killing, he leaves Naruto and everyone else alive. Despite them posing a direct opposition to his plans and their consistent insistence on sticking their noses in when he has actively stated that he doesn't want that. There's a contradiction at play here. If nothing
because
else
Sasuke's
matters,
a lot stronger
including
than
your own
Naruto when he did
well-being,
that.
then why not get rid of them here and now? Well, I guess because while he doesn't want to admit it, there is something else important to him: his friends. So while this fight and mission ends in spectacular failure, Naruto and his allies at the very least left with their lives and a deeper understanding of the current situation.
Sasuke's about to
need
murder them, though.
become stronger. I really enjoyed this arc. I felt like it started
He's
strong,
about to launch
introduced
Kirin
and
at them.
established some really interesting new characters while reinforcing the themes of responsibility and highlighted the indoctrination of young ninja at a new extreme through the likes of Sai, who I ended up really liking in the finish.
Naruto's
Both of the big
sideburns.
fight sequences in this arc centered around pivotal narrative beats concerning the likes of Naruto, Sakura, Sai, Yamato, and Sasuke. Overall, I thought this arc was
Holy
efficient,
fuck.
focused, and
Is that an
snappy.
anime
The
opening?
Tenchi Bridge sequence had me at the edge of my seat, and it managed to maintain that tension through the battle with Sasuke. And thankfully, they not only managed to continue this goodness into the next arc, but expanded some love to characters like Shikamaru, who has since quickly become one of, if not my favorite character to follow in this story. So let's dive into this arc and see why.
So, I don't know about you guys, but I always thought it was kind of like lame that Naruto had to fight Sasuke's like cool, edgy sword with like this little dinky fucking kunai whenever they fight in the openings. I don't know, I never liked that.
It's
It never looked
Christmas.
impressive.
Well, okay, not quite. But Santa's here early to ensure my jingle balls are all in great shape with the new performance package from Manscaped. The Lawnmower 4.0 is the absolute highlight of this package.
Y'all need to shave
this
your
cordless
balls?
trimmer is
Like-
not only waterproof and great for
Let's
sensitive skin thanks to
go.
its skin-safe tech, but it also features a festive LED light that's perfect for those dark winter nights. But what's this? Is that the crop preserver and crop reviver in your stocking, or are you just happy
I don't
to
like the
see
way
me?
that camera
That's
pulled it
right.
up like that.
This kit comes with handy ball deodorant and ball toner spray to ensure you smell great across the festive season.
Nice.
And hey, if you're feeling the tingle of tinsel up your nose, the Weed Whacker nose and ear trimmer has you covered
Fuck
too.
yeah.
Thanks to Santa. 360
Thank you,
degree
Santa.
rotary blades and the same skin-safe tech from the trimmer. This thing is wonderful. Every guy needs to add Manscaped to their wish list this season. And
Oh,
if
I'm
you've
right
got a
on it.
special
I'm
man
adding
in
it
your
right
life
to my
that's been
wish list.
Extra good this year.
I'm
then
gonna have
make
the
sure to get him
smoothest
this
balls on
awesome
earth.
performance
Holy shit.
package. It even
got
comes
underwear
with a
too?
free travel bag and boxers. That's
What?
two gifts in
Manscaped
one.
underwear too?
So don't
And
wait.
a bag?
Go to manscaped.com
Damn.
and use my promo code NOTMARK20
Okay.
to get 20%
Get the
off
smooth
plus
hands,
free
too?
international shipping and 2 free gifts.
Not Mark 20. That's the code. Remember that shit. Thank you, Santa.
Ninja. Zabuza sword cannot be.
Zabuza sword. I remember these commercials, I think.
Shark and shooter. Transform.
Oh, shit.
Munch.
Bruh.
Direct hit. Victory is mine.
Naruto Shark.
Damn, Zabuza's weaker than
accessories each sold separate.
that weird
Katsuki
cosplay
suppression
Sasuke, I
mission.
guess.
Right from the
Official
top,
power
this
scaling.
arc was phenomenal and marks the second time this story affected me emotionally.
Akatsuki
Primarily, it
suppression.
focuses on two characters in Naruto and
Wait, did he say
Shikamaru,
did he
with
say Akatsuki correctly now? I wasn't paying attention. Let me see. Did he say it right this time?
Akatsuki suppression
He says it right now. Man, I wish his editor would just like help him with like everything else then.
mission.
Like,
Right from the top, this arc was phenomenal and marks the second time this
Big
story
W
affected
character
me
development
emotionally.
for Mark.
Primarily, it focuses on two characters in Naruto and Shikamaru, with the latter carrying most of the heavy lifting along with his cell group after a tragedy befalls them. It's rich with coming-of-age lessons to learn, and through these two characters primarily, we see what that looks like as we explore their mindsets after each of their respective setbacks. Naruto after coming face to face with Sasuke and failing in the prior arc, and Shikamaru who experienced his own unique losses. Having completed my notes on this section, I also realized that I didn't talk or write much about the two main antagonists of this arc, two Akatsuki members called Hidan and Kakuzu. Given the amount of focus, and I also realized that I didn't talk or write much about the two main antagonists of this arc, two Akatsuki members called Hidan.
He said Akatsuki again.
Notes on this section, I also realized that I didn't talk or write much about the two main antagonists of this arc, two Akatsuki members called Hidan and Kakuzu.
Alright, Mark, be real with me. Do you just not want to say the word cock? Do you not want to say cock, bro? I want you to say cock. Just say it real loud. It's cock. Uzu. Cock. Well, you got a problem with cock, Mark? Huh? What's wrong with cock? Just say it. Cock, Uzu. Just say it, man. Cock, Uzu. Look, I don't want to say you're homophobic, but come on, bruh. That one's easy. Cock, Uzu. I'm gonna manifest it. I know you know how to say that word. You got Manscaped. You're the cock.
Given the amount of focus the themes surrounding other characters receive in this arc, I was surprised with just how much characterization this pair ended up receiving, which only helps, I think, in the long run to elevate the struggle to defeat these two ultimately. Instead of appearing stereotypical, brandishing all the personality of a brooding piece of wood, these two genuinely felt like two individuals distinct from each other that on a consistent basis break each other's chops, cracking jokes and insulting each other like two guys in the office with an established rapport. Their powers, particularly Hidan's, introduce some wonderful opportunities for Shikamaru to play with at various stages, and Kakuzu is just straight up a massive wall the likes of which even Kakashi struggles to overcome.
Oh, he's reading the manga, not the anime. It's almost like Naruto has a pretty basic naming convention where it's the first syllable, and his editor's like, hey dude, it's the first syllable on Sasuke. That's why it's not Sasuke, it's Sasuke, okay? It's the first syllable. It's Naruto, you know, like, it's the Akatsuki, you know, like, it's the first syllable. It's not, it has nothing to do with him reading the manga anymore. It has nothing to, it's literally just, he's not getting that it's not the, it's the first syllable, not the second syllable that needs to be pronounced, alright? It has nothing to do with the manga anymore. Nothing to do with it. Because he's been told over and over again.
Priming him as
it has nothing to do with it. Also, that drawing of Kakashi is hard, bro.
A massive wall the likes of which even Kakashi...
This Kakashi drawing is so good. What the hell?
She struggles to overcome, priming him as the perfect target for our hero of focus in this arc, Naruto. However, with that said, I've heard justifiable complaints aimed at this arc's conclusion, and I'll be exploring them as well as offering my 2 cents. So, let's start from the start. Naruto's training. This is what Naruto does for effectively the entire runtime of this arc until the end. Struggle through training after failing to help Sasuke. As it stands, I love training sequences for characters. I find them compelling and often bolster the trainees' characterization and motivations by showing their tenacity and determination to achieve their respective goals through hardship. However, something makes this arc stand out amidst all the other training stints in the story. Something that expanded my understanding of jutsu and placed what I believe to be a massive, near impossible task in front of Naruto, a near impossible task with a ridiculously short time limit. Through this training, we come to learn from Kakashi that the Rasengan, a move Naruto already struggled to get
that was
this
a
level
Fortnite
of competency
technique, the
with,
Rasengan.
is actually an incomplete jutsu developed by the 4th Hokage himself. I thought that was a really nice touch as it leads Kakashi into a quieter, more inspirational sequence where he confidently states that he believes in Naruto and that he thinks that someday he will surpass even the 4th Hokage himself. Moments like this make me reflect on when Kakashi first met Naruto back in the beginning, not knowing just how far this little kid would go, but throughout saw glimpses of his potential, leading to this moment where he reaffirms Naruto's desire and belief in himself. But there's still a lot of work to do, so let's break down exactly what needs to be done. Naruto needs to, number 1, learn to use his change of nature type jutsu, number 2, then combine it with the Rasengan to complete a jutsu that even the 4th Hokage couldn't. Oh, and number 3, to do this all within a time frame so short that it would be impossible to complete any of these steps in isolation. This story is all about surpassing barriers, overcoming the odds, and showing the naysayers wrong, but with these exact parameters, as a reader, I sincerely felt as though there was absolutely no way to make this work other than making some sort of plot contrivance, and that's when Kakashi had one of the most ingenious ideas I've ever heard in the story.
多重影分身だ。だから修行期間を短縮する方法だよ。
I love when stories can surprise me, and truthfully, I never considered this as an option.
Yeah, this was
Partially
fire.
because I
Kishimoto
wasn't
ate with this one.
100% on the mechanics of the technique, but it's honestly a perfect strategy. There isn't enough
we talked
time
about
for
the
Naruto
beginning
to
of Shippuden,
practice and
how,
perfect this technique on his own,
Naruto
but
should-
if he splits
if
up
the
into
time skip
hundreds
needed to
of
be that long
clones,
or
then
not.
he can cram years worth of training into a comparatively tiny
I think the
amount
time
of
skip was
time.
that
And the
long
best
just
part
so that
about this
Naruto would look
strategy is
older.
that this is an approach only Naruto himself can utilize due to the circumstances of his birth and the resulting bottomless pit of chakra he has. And what's more is, despite the stress of what has just happened with Sasuke, he remains focused, willing to shoulder all of this responsibility time and time again, pushing himself to the absolute limit, his breaking point, with this entire sequence in the story representing Naruto's true strength and tenacity independent of the fox spirit. And as a result of all of this technique, when he perfects it, it will be a technique not only uniquely his own, but has been developed with the express purpose of giving him the strength he needs to save his friend. With the best part being, it will free him from having to rely on the fox spirit's power, building upon the lessons learned in the prior arc. And so, as a continuation of Naruto's story, I loved this training sequence. Shikamaru's team versus Hidan and Kakuzu. This is the plotline that gives this arc its name. While out on a suppression mission to stop the Akatsuki personnel, Team Asuma, with Shikamaru present, runs into two individuals I touched on earlier, Hidan and Kakuzu. As I think it should, a large portion of this fight hinges on the reader's or our hero's lack of understanding of the enemy. We have no idea at this point what their powers are, why they're so confident, and what on earth Hidan is wearing. Naturally, due to the mystery surrounding their abilities, the stakes raise themselves considerably, creating an ideal circumstance for Shikamaru to formulate a plan of action after deciphering what jutsu Hidan is.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't here the whole time. I was pissing. Alright, let's watch. Let's go back to like here or something.
Versus Hidan and Kakuzu. This is the plotline that gives this arc its name. While out on a suppression mission to stop the Akatsuki personnel, Team Asuma, with Shikamaru present,
Like what, dude? Like
runs into two individuals I touched on earlier, Hidan and Kakuzu. As I think it should, a large portion of this fight hinges on the reader's or our hero's lack of understanding of the enemy. We have no idea at this point what their powers are, why they're so confident, and what on earth Hidan is wearing. Naturally, due to the mystery surrounding their abilities, the stakes raise themselves considerably, creating an ideal circumstance for Shikamaru to formulate a plan of action after deciphering what jutsu Hidan.
Alright, here's the fucking rule, dude. It doesn't matter if it's manga or anime, where the fuck. First syllable! The first syllable! Alright? Pronounce the first syllable. Alright, that's all you gotta do. It's not the second. It's the first. This ain't Pokemon. This ain't Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. It's fucking Naruto, man! It's Japanese, man! The first syllable. If he says Madeira, it's over. I don't care. I don't give a fuck anymore. We're gonna. If he says Madeira, I'm just dropping. I'm dropping watching these videos ever again. I don't give a fuck.
To a brilliant and
I don't care anymore. It's
brutal
embarrassing.
killing
Dude.
strike of Hidan by Asuma, the squad leader. But wait.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
With that,
Damn!
Shikamaru, zapped of energy, unable to restrain him any longer, he's forced to watch on, powerless, as Asuma gets stabbed to near death in front of him. In a fashion only Hidan could possibly pull off thanks to his gruesome and honestly sadistic jutsu. Moments before he dies, reinforcements arrive, forcing the two Akatsuki members to turn tail and run for it, leaving Asuma to die in Shikamaru's arms, imparting before he leaves some final words to each of his students. And surprisingly, this felt authentic. It felt tragic with an appropriate level of gravity to it, for sure, but what I was surprised by was how readily I got on board with and connected to
This
how
scene was so
Shikamaru
sad, bro.
and his cell group must have been feeling.
さらけ出しまい
This scene was anime only, unfortunately. I
Asuma's
wonder if he
death.
showed it to Mark.
I'm not sure if this will come as a surprise to anyone, but I didn't expect to care as much as I did during this sequence. It shocked me with how touching I found this
scene being
ceremony
anime
and the
only
lengthy
is like
amount
a
of
sin,
time
bro.
given to this character's passing.
I know Kishimoto's
And
not that
since
crazy of a
then,
writer,
I've
but
wondered why
goddamn
that
it.
was. Asuma wasn't by any means a character I had an issue with, but I also wouldn't say he was one I was particularly close to either. Which, honestly, in retrospect, made me wish I had formed more of a bond with this character across the series instead of just the last 10 or so chapters. But it
Yeah.
did make me wonder why
because
I was
of the
feeling as
tuning
strongly
exams
as I
just being
did
so
during
ambitious,
this
bro.
scene. And I think the reason was Shikamaru. You see, going into a long-running series completely blind like I am, with the expectation of writing a review each and every week, is kind of
many
like being an
characters.
archer without a target being asked to hit the bullseye. I try to make guesses as to what's important to remark upon, but I'll always miss something when I'm going in blind. It's just the nature of the beast. When I reviewed Dragon Ball earlier in the year, I found it to be a very pleasant experience, as I knew
Man,
what
Toriyama
was or
used
was
to
not
eat with his
important, and
art.
so could focus on and plan seeds for future
What
things
happened to him?
I wanted to talk about, like Goku's transformation into the Ozaru
stopped
in the
giving a
first
fuck.
arc, and how it has a direct connection in explaining his last moments with his grandpa, who we will then meet much later in the Uranai Baba section. I can't do stuff like that with Naruto. I can only speak about things that impacted me on that given week of reading and hope and pray that I got the important stuff. However, Shikamaru has been a character that has time and time again impressed me to no end. Initially, he seemed like a disinterested, unmotivated, and boring character to make up numbers for the background cast. But in his Chunin exam fight, he proved me wrong. After that, he seemed like an interesting character, but not one that would have served a leading role. And that's when the chase for Sasuke happened, and I once again was proven wrong. And now I find myself over 300 chapters into this story, watching as this character I never anticipated I would spend so much time with or connect to, one that has earned his standing through struggle, talent, and effort across this series, making myself feel this loss. I think across the entire story, no character has surprised or impacted me more than Shikamaru. And what I really appreciate about this series is how dedicated and comfortable Kishimoto is in basking in the more quiet moments, whether that be solemn, emotional, still, or any combination of these. I've recognized him as being an incredible artist with a particular flair for action, creating some wonderfully
He doesn't
kinetic
pronounce
layouts.
Shikamaru right
However,
either.
his attention to
He
the
says
quieter
Shika. He
moments
says
across
Shikemaru or
this
something like
series
that.
has really heightened my experience. Clearly on display during Asuma's funeral.
still pronounces
Distant
the
shots of
second,
Shikamaru
syllable, I
informing
think.
his family in
So
a
much.
long hallway, all the framing
But it's
here
better. It's
really
definitely
helping
better
to
than
sell
other
the
stuff.
atmosphere Kishimoto's going for, with everyone taking the time to commemorate this noble and much loved shinobi, with an appropriate amount of focus on the character of Shikamaru. And while I thought all
Yeah,
of this was
Shikemaru or
great,
something
once
like
I
that.
finished this arc, my team suggested I take a closer look at one specific episode from the anime.
Yeah, there you
one
go,
that,
King.
while technically filler,
that shit.
in many instances
By the way, look at goddamn.
the anime. One that
Look at that bitch's fucking neck. Look at this bitch's neck, bro. She got 2 necks. She got that Baki neck. She got that Scotty Twitter neck.
that while
God
technically
damn.
filler, in many instances elevated this section of the story to new heights the manga never reached on its own.
Man, this episode, bro,
Episode
so hard.
82. Episode 82 of Shippuden
God
is
damn.
a beautiful and I think near perfect addition to the series, filled with stunning cinematography. The series of scenes that decorate this short but powerful episode heighten what was in fact the purpose of Shikamaru's portion, which is, in effect, his coming-of-age story. I always find these types of tales to be profoundly powerful for a number of reasons, obviously because of their hopeful relatability, but more so because of the crossroads and lessons that a young person must learn in order to become an adult. Shikamaru doesn't know what to do with himself and fails to attend the funeral of his master Asuma. He wanders the streets, sits isolated on his porch for hours, denying his mother's offer for food until eventually his father asks him to play him in a game of shogi. All shot from one angle at first to emphasize the still, measured, and reserved nature of the interaction, with Shikaku remarking upon his son's different approach to playing today, citing it as, quote, forceful. The shogi game itself offers this father and son the means with which to subtly reach each other, with Shikaku using it as a vehicle to highlight his son's strengths, his gratitude for his son being alive, and teaching him not to shy away from feeling what he's feeling. Eventually reaching a boiling point where the angle suddenly shifts as Shikamaru flips the table in anger when he's reminded that Asuma is dead. Shikaku tells him to let it all out, that sadness, fear, and anger.
It sounds kind of like a meme review. with the names. I don't know. I think we should honestly just stop watching these reviews.
The direction is spectacular
Like,
with
real.
interesting angles, close-ups of his gritted teeth.
I don't know. I can't
fists.
I want it like okay. At first, I was kind of like okay. I was trying my best to be like, hey, you know, this is some cool stuff that you can think about for the series. You know that Mark might have missed or whatever. But dude, it just sounds like a meme review at this point. It doesn't even sound real. Like I don't know. I just can't. I'm gonna be real. I just can't anymore, dude. I'm just. It's just awful. Like, it's literally the whole time, bro. Like, it's just unlistenable. Like, I just can't do it, man. It doesn't like you know you ever see like a fucking like YouTube poop or like a meme like anime review and they like purposely like mispronounce all the names to, like trigger people. Like it sounds like one of those, dude. It just doesn't sound fucking real, man. I just can't handle it anymore, dude. Like I tried to for like the last one. I thought I was like, oh, okay, you know, he's gonna. I don't know. We'll see. Like we'll see if he gets Madara right. We'll come back. I think, but I can't, dude. I can't take it serious. I'm not even like. It's just like to the point where I'm not I can't focus on what he's saying. Like I can't focus on what he's saying anymore. Like my brain is just like, wow, like. Ugh, man. It's when I used to say like it's kind of like when I used to say like brawly. Remember when I used to say brawly? Nuclear shit like that. It's like that, dude. Just fuck, man. God damn. Brawly. Whew. Keep going? No, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna be real.